Hey guys, StamLuke7 here, still going strong on my commentary day. And in today's commentary, I want to talk more competitive. So, in this one, I want to talk about adding maps to the competitive rotation. So, I'm looking back a few years ago in the competitive scene, and I'm thinking to, it was about 5 years ago at this point, to Advanced Warfare. And in Advanced Warfare, we saw multiple DLC maps get added in to the competitive rotation throughout the season, which is something that I don't think they had done before. So they did that with Advanced Warfare. With Black Ops 3 and Infinite Warfare, don't quote me on this. I don't think they did. I could be wrong, but I don't think they did. So at the time, I believe that was something unique to AW that they did. Incorporate those DLC maps. And a problem with incorporating the DLC maps was that the DLC maps were paid, and it would lock. This is a problem with paid DLC in general, right? But it would lock content for certain people. So like if certain people would have like COD, but they couldn't afford the DLC, it would really suck for them because then if DLC maps were in the competitive rotation, they had COD but they didn't have the DLC, they couldn't experience the entire competitive rotation. They wouldn't be able to play on those maps, and that was like kind of an issue. AW, they just said screw it, I guess. Those other games they didn't, and then I believe World War II also, which Sledgehammer, same developers AW, brought some DLC maps in to the rotation. Black Ops 4, I'm pretty positive did not. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Black Ops 4 did not, and I'm also certain that MW did not. So it's only been the Sledgehammer CODs, I believe, where the DLC maps have been worked into the rotation. But I think it's time for that to change. And this kind of goes with my last video, the GA discussion, about like meta shifts and stuff like that, and letting the game evolve in a competitive way. Even though COD is like a yearly cycle game, and it's not like Counter Strike where with Counter Strike they'll be playing that map set, and after a year, half a year, whatever, whenever somebody comes up with a new map that's good, however often Counter Strike will add in new things to their competitive rotation. COD isn't like that because COD, you get that new set, you get that entirely new game. I mean, it's still COD, but you get that entirely new experience literally every year. So you know that every year you're guaranteed at least that. I mean, I thought if a COD was going to get delayed, it'd be this year. It didn't even happen. So, like, pretty much up to this point, you know that that's going to happen, right? They're going to get that new experience in a year. But what I found with especially the last game, this didn't bother me as much in Black Ops 4 because I thought Black Ops 4 was a really fun competitive game to watch. I think Black Ops 4 was some of the most fun that I've had watching Comp COD ever. Great viewership game. I liked playing Black Ops 4 as well, but one thing, like even if you didn't like playing Black Ops 4, I think everybody can agree, at least like from a viewership perspective, that game was fun as hell to spectate competitive matches. Really fun. Loved watching Comp Black Ops 4. Could do that shit all day. Um, anyways, but a big problem, especially in the last game, MW. Especially MW. And I'm mainly bringing this up because of MW. I want to see some, not necessarily new modes, but some new maps added into the rotation throughout the year. Now, I don't think it has to be a requirement, right? Like, if none of the new maps are, like, good enough for it, then sure, they don't need to be added in. That would be unfair. But if any of the new maps are in some way, like, viable for competitive, I would like to see them tested out and added in. Because one, like I was talking about in the GA video, with look at adding stuff to tournaments, it'd be like, hey, at this tournament we're gonna see, raid has been added to the game in season 2, and we're gonna see raid being played competitively. Tune into CDL to watch the debut of raid into the competitive map pool. Stuff like that. It's another thing. That could bring viewers to the tournaments, I think. If it would like promote the new content to the game, and it's like kind of a two birds with one stone right there. Not only are you promoting the new content to the game, working this stuff in, you're also using that to promote the competitive scene as well, which is what they want to do now that CDL is like Activision. It's like their thing now. Whereas before it was like third parties and stuff like MLG. It is their thing now. It's what they want to grow. So I just see it as a good thing, right? I see working these as long as they're competitively viable, I see working these DLC maps into the season as a good thing. It 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 makes things interesting for players and viewers alike. Again, like I said, promotes the DLC, promotes the competitive scene as well. It just gives people a reason to tune in, and it gives a shake up to the meta. And again, in MW, that was my biggest complaint about the MW competitive season. I just felt like I was watching the same damn thing the entire year, and I can't remember the last COD that felt like that I've watched competitively as much as MW. Like yeah, there have been CODs that have been like similar throughout the year, but like holy shit, MW like damn near felt like I was watching the exact same tournament every tournament. Like it was absurdly repetitive. And even me, as a huge fan of competitive COD, not the biggest fan. To be fair, not the biggest fan of that game of MW. So I'm sure that factored in as well. The fact that I didn't, that I just didn't enjoy the game as much, whether it be viewership wise or playing it, that definitely factored in here. But just like me personally, as such an avid fan, I was really burnt out by like already like halfway through the season. Let's say like fifth or sixth tournament. I was really, and there was like 12. I think there was 12 tournaments before champs, and already at that halfway point, I was already burnt out. I was like, man, it's this game. Like I just feel like I'm watching the same shit over and over and over and over again. And there's just like not enough evolution of the game, of the meta, and just things to shake things up. Like it was just really getting old, and I was getting burnt out on watching it. And I'm sure if you watch the watch parties, if anybody in the comments can attest to this, I'm sure you could tell that I was in the beginning, I was pretty interested in all the matches, and again, like how I was saying, other factors like the format that they use is probably a factor here too. The format is the format is 100% a factor too. That could be another video. I don't want to go off on that tangent right now. That'll probably be another video. Definitely matters too. Um, but again, if you're watching them, I'm sure you could tell like I was just not as into it for every match. Like after that halfway point, I was mostly just concerned with like the last day, where it'd be like the most important matches or like the big matchups between like the Titan teams and stuff like that. I just didn't really care as much for the other ones. Whereas with those early tournaments, I was given pretty even attention to anything to all the games, and I was very into all of them. So I don't know. It just really lost me. And I think that incorporating the DLC, I forgot to mention not even just the maps but the guns too, because they add weapons too. Like if they're good and they're not broken, like incorporating those DLC weapons into the meta too, again promotes the content, promotes the competitive scene. Like I just see it as a positive, as long as it's not being forced entirely on the players, and as long as again it's not completely broken, like the maps aren't completely awful and the weapons aren't completely overpowered. I just see it as a good thing, and I really want to see some more variety this year. I really want more of a reason to view every tournament. I want something fresh. I want some fresh experiences in the competitive scene throughout the year, instead of it just being like a side Warzone tournament. Like that's what they did this year. Instead of actually like shaking up the competitive meta game, it would be like, oh, at this tournament we're gonna do a 2v2 pros Warzone thing, and it's like, yeah, that stuff is cool, and I'm sure some people want to watch that, and I do too. But like, what I really want to see is I want to see the actual game itself have some evolutions, have some developments, and catch my interest there instead of like some side attractions. I guess like the game should sell itself, if that makes sense. So yeah. Anyways, I want to be wrapping this one up shortly here too. I've the last two have been pretty long. I don't want to go too long in this one, but just final thoughts, like little summary. Um, I just want to see. We have free DLC. Did I forget to mention that? The DLC, like everybody gets the DLC now. That was like the big barrier before. Everybody gets the DLC now, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. You know what I mean? Like DLC gun, like, oh, you have to buy this DLC gun, you have to buy this DLC. Don't even have to worry about that anymore. Don't even have to worry about that. It's paid for by the microtransactions, so that's not even a thing. I would like to see this DLC incorporated, if viable, into the competitive scene and not just like have it be an auto lock like it seemed to be last year. I would like to, if it's usable, if the weapons are usable, if the maps are viable, see them incorporated into the season, mix things up a little bit, and hopefully improve the viewership, the player experience as well, and make it a more fun game to watch competitively. So let me know what you guys think. I'm curious to hear your thoughts as always. If anybody has any thoughts on this, yeah, let me know. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. In the next one. Yeah, I'm tired.